Hello, welcome to another CTS Biz Talk. I'm your usual host, Frank Stevens, and today I have a very, very special guest. Simon, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Frank? Once
It
again,
is
thanks for having me.
absolutely welcome aboard. I think we did one many, many moons ago, and we need to be doing more of these.
I agree.
So Simon is the IT Service Delivery Manager. Basically, he runs the entire tech team at CTS, so he's got his hands in everything. And today's topic is going to be a fun one. It is technology trends for manufacturing. So one of our big verticals is manufacturing. We are, I think, day one when I started CTS 25 years ago. That was our roots. It was manufacturing. 100% of our clients was in manufacturing, and so we've had enjoyed the ride. So I wanted to bring Simon aboard. He's been in the trenches with all of our clients on a daily basis and talk about the newest trends. So Simon, what's going on? And hopefully this is not just a baloney interview podcast where we talk about the boring AI. Let's talk about other stuff, I say.
No, not boring AI. I think that topic is really covered by a lot of people. But I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing in our manufacturing clients is making sure that their productivity or uptime is at or close to 100% as possible. So we're talking making sure that computers have power. We're making sure that they have multiple internet connections. We're making sure that if one internet connection goes down, they have a secondary connection, or using something called an SD-WAN. It's kind of blending those two connections together, so there are no interconnectivity issues that you might see when you're just using traditional failover.
So it's truly eliminating those single point of failures to ensure they don't stop.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Nice. And like, what is the drawback or what's the downside of implementing some of these things? Obviously, there's a slight increase in costs, but if I'm the CFO or CEO of a manufacturing organization, why wouldn't I want to implement these things?
Well, I mean, I think that's a really, really interesting thing to talk about, the cost. Yeah, your costs might go up slightly, but if you really take into account what the cost is of lost productivity when you do have downtime, I think it outweighs the con of the cost being increased.
Yeah.
If you're down 15 minutes, some clients, they're doing $100,000 of business a day. So,
Yeah.
you guys do the math. I'm not the greatest, but that's a real coin there.
Yeah. And how are we? Are there things to be looking at from like a shop floor perspective that people should be doing to ensure that productivity isn't being lost? Obviously, power. Most of our clients have generators, and we just want to make sure that the critical things are up with UPS and stuff like that. But what else could they be doing in the back shop or in the manufacturing areas?
So I know what we've recently been doing is basically doing an audit of the different hardware that our organizations are using. Most people in the United States are using FedEx, UPS, all those different shipping, manufacturing, or shipping softwares, and having a plan in place to replace that equipment as it's going bad, or just basically having cold spares that we can swap in the event that we have some, major malfunction with those devices. I think that's been a pretty cool thing that we've been doing for some of our manufacturing clients.
Yeah. Now, I have not been to some of our clients in a while because I've take a step back and stuff like that. But in the bowels and the back end of the warehouses, back in my day when I was rolling up my sleeves and I was back there, I remember switches going down more often than they should, just because you've got debris, you've got air quality, you've got the heat of a warehouse if it's not air conditioned. Is that still a factor today? And I ask because I really just don't know. I know that they've got now, small racks that you could put in there, but is there other stuff that you need to be replacing on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, manufacturing's a dirty industry, so that's still something that we take into account. So putting or installing network racks that have covers that you can close. Obviously, they have some, air filters that you can install to filter out the all the dust and debris. But equipment has a lifespan. So also getting on a life cycle to replace that equipment on a frequent basis not only
Mhm.
helps you from a security perspective, but from the physical hardware failing.
Yeah. So I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, with someone else on the team, and we talked about hardware life cycles. What does typical hardware life cycle mean from the day you purchase a high quality network switch to where you should be looking to retire, specifically in those areas?
Ballpark 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
The cleaner your environment, the less you have to worry about physical failure. But if you have a pretty hot summer like we do here in Chicago,
Hmm.
um, if you don't have the proper AC, those devices get up to 900 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's not adequate or not good enough environment for those devices.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Hardware life cycle. This just jogged memory. We have a client in, I think, the Franklin Park area. We implemented their wireless 10, 12 years ago. They're constantly having wireless issues, right? We're not going to name clients. We've been pushing them to replace the wireless. People in warehouses, they've got barcode scanners. You're walking around with laptops galore, small devices. I mean, warehouses rely on a quality, robust wireless solution, right? What are we seeing as far as lifespan, hardware life cycle on wireless equipment and access points?
I think those are going a little, I'd say on the low end, 5 years.
Okay.
But when we're installing equipment on the wireless side, unless you're looking to take advantage of the new technology, um, what is it, Wi-Fi 6, 7, whatever the
7?
number it's at.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Most devices can't even get to that speed, so it's not really important to keep up with technology, if you will. It's more so about making sure you're maintaining, the throughput that you want to have when you first install that hardware.
Got it. And we might as well stick. I think we were in our pre-chat. We talked about IoTs. Let's talk about that and what that looks like in the warehouse and in the manufacturing area. What this is all about, specifically where we're helping some of our clients monitor and manage some of those cool things.
Yeah, we can take that two ways. So one thing that we're doing with managing the IoT device separate network, where the devices have internal connectivity that some developers can check in on those
Mhm.
devices. Those devices are reporting the productivity and various metrics when a machine is up and running, currently running a job, in maintenance mode, or it's scheduled down for maintenance. But creating that separate network allows for someone to sit at a desk, check into those machines rather than walking through, a few 100,000 square foot facility, walking from machine to machine to machine, because that's just wasting a ton of time. And, the metrics there are so invaluable to an organization.
I mean, obviously there's several solutions out there, software-based solutions. I know that I've been part of a couple of those projects where, in IoT, Internet of Things, it is basically a device. I mean, it's a dummy device. I always tell people, like, what does that mean? I always think of, like, and you guys can't see in the background, but I have a Nest thermostat. Honeywell makes thermostats. It's small devices, a fridge, your smart fridges, all the smart devices that are out there that have internet and network connectivity, that they're just silly little devices that do not get software updates. The firmware may have vulnerabilities, and no one's going to patch it. And I think that's what you were talking about, where you want to segment those off your primary network, so if it does get hacked, doesn't have a hacker can't utilize that stupid little device to infiltrate data. But going back to that, we've worked on projects with our manufacturing clients where the devices, the IoTs, and the software that are pulling that data in, extracting that data and bringing it into a separate Microsoft SQL database, or bringing it into Power BI, where you can run your own reports and your analysis showing the effectiveness either of a production line specifically or down to the machine level, which is really cool stuff. So, good stuff. Anything else from an infrastructure perspective that we work with on our manufacturing clients that people, we're mid-year 2025. I think most of our clients are starting to talk about the budget for 2026. Anything else from an infrastructure perspective that we should touch base on?
I think one piece that gets neglected inside server rooms is reviewing your battery backups, UPSs. I think a lot of organizations are installing those devices and then they really kind of lose sight of that until it starts beeping, going crazy, whether it's connected to, an external AC unit or you've got server downs, firewall downs, whatever it is. I think looking into replacing that equipment would be something to look into.
Got it.
Yep.
All right. What other trends that we want to talk about when it comes to manufacturing?
The big C word, compliance. We've had a number of organizations, and we've won quite a bit of business because compliance is the new buzzword, just like security was and still is, and like AI is. But CMMC in the manufacturing industry, if you are a contractor of the Department of Defense, you are required to become compliant. It really depends on what kind of work you're doing and what level you need to be. That means different things for the people that aren't aware, but basically they have a framework where you have to make sure you're doing or implementing best practices from a cybersecurity perspective. And we don't have to get into the details, but that means like making sure you have a good password. Making sure that the critical data, the CUI, is encrypted and only available to those that need access to it when they need access to it. Door access is another big thing. Making sure that you have the CUI locked behind privileged access doors. So CMMC has been really prevalent over the last few years.
And what's the scary part of that? Because I've had conversations where people are like, we don't even know where to begin. To whereas we've heard scary stuff, and we don't have $100,000 to drop on a typical CMMC compliance thing. So, like, if I'm an organization out there, where do I begin?
Yeah, so it's only scary because you don't know what you don't know. The really cool thing about level 1, level 2 CMMC compliance, it's you really you probably are doing a good chunk of what's required of you. The hard part is making sure that you have someone go through and audit the things that you're supposed to be doing and verifying whether you are or aren't doing it, and then documenting it. Typically, small implementations are 6 months or so, and it's truly 6 months worth of effort to review, audit, and create documentation for the different levels.
And what is our involvement in a typical, like, a level 1, level 2 CMMC, environment? Like, if someone's not using us, right, as their managed service provider, what does that look like on the outside world?
Yeah, I mean, we come in for the engagement, and we take a look at what's going on. We start by identifying what is considered CUI in your environment and kind of work backwards from that. We do a general IT audit of, what security practices do you have implemented already, and then follow that up with, is that CMMC compliant? So, if you don't have a password requirement on your computer, you're not compliant, and we will offer you the advice on how to become compliant and then implement that requirement. And it's literally walking through the 110 different requirements to get level 2 certified.
Yep. Right. And many moons ago, maybe not that many, but I know you worked with one of our manufacturing clients on ISO certification. What does that look like from an IT perspective? And what was that like?
Not as engaging as with CMMC. From an ISO certification perspective, we helped the client kind of organize their data and their processes. And I remember having a few conversations about here's how we're doing it, here's what we need to do. How do we kind of meet in the middle with the process that we currently have in place? What adjustments do we need to make sure that we're following those requirements?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Good stuff there. What other trends did you want to talk about when it comes to manufacturing?
I think a really cool topic for manufacturing organizations is supply chain management. Whether it's e-commerce websites or um, customer facing portals, stuff like that. I think some organizations could definitely take advantage of implementing some of those solutions. And I think you're pretty familiar with some of the ones that we've got going on in the background.
I've been part of many of those projects, and yeah, I have to roll up my sleeves again and get involved with development. So when it comes to exchanging data between multiple systems, so if I'm in a manufacturing organization, I have what's called an ERP, right? It's my financial, the golden truth of all my data. I got parts, I got price lists, I've got client lists. Is basically the financial guts of the organization. And so you've got data coming from different places. You've got supply chain, meaning if I order something, so let's say from Japan, I have an estimated, based on historical data. If I place the order today, order gets placed, then if say it's Japan, ships the next day, I typically have a 2 to 3 week lead time, right? Because it's got to get taken and put on a boat, clear customs, and by the time it hits my door, it's been 2.5, 3 weeks. So Kevin, that data is kind of cool because if someone places an order, you have real-time data of what that looks like. And it's just not about that 2 or 3 week gap. If you're getting the manufacturer lead times from your source over in Japan, you can factor that in. So if you know that they're behind in production, or if they have a surplus of inventory, you can factor that in. So when someone picks up the phone or goes to place an order, you're giving them a pretty darn good, accurate estimate of when they can get the product. And when someone is, buying, let's call it a widget, I'm not going to name product names and SKUs, but if they buy a widget, they can buy that widget from 5 different people. So who's going to be able to provide me for the best price at the best time? And that is very powerful. That's what wins business. That adds, to top line and increases your sales. From a customer,
Really quickly, I think one of your favorite phrases is vendor agnostic. Are we limited to only certain vendors or certain suppliers to pull that information?
No. I mean, we've done projects where exchanging data between Oracle and Windows on the Microsoft SQL backend with Linux on the other side. So that's the cool part of us because we are truly solution agnostic. And so, like our data center, we've got multiple kind of servers spun up that's handling those data, not only the exchanges, but the massage of the data, so it's coming in clean into our systems. So again, once you're collecting all the data that you have, you could do some cool stuff. One of my favorite clients, and you know who it is. We basically hold what's called their why am I drawing a blank? Their data warehouse. So their ERP system is providing us hourly exports, or maybe every half an hour exports on products, inventory, price changes, territory codes, whatever it may be, right? And then that data is being utilized for a multiple of things. It's going to Power BI so that they can run sales reports and stuff like that. It's going to a CRM that, they're, hopefully you can see this, right? If I'm a sales guy, I've got critical data that I can use and run around, either updated sales material, pricing, inventory, what have you. And when you're talking about that, you have this data ecosystem that you can build. And when you have that, it truly gives you a competitive edge. We've done things where we're creating custom portals for the end user, so customer portals. So say you're in logistics and you're getting multiple shipments, and I'm ordering, I don't know, let's call it widgets again, right? If I'm buying 30 million widgets at a discounted rate, and then I want it to come to a distribution place, and then I want to have it shipped out to 20 different locations nationwide, I want to be able to track that. And so to be able to pull that data in and then just have a customer portal where the end users can see where the things are just for them in the entire distribution channel, that's powerful. And it works. And like when you're doing this custom data sets and doing it, like they're not inexpensive projects, but they're not overly expensive projects. And as long as clients could easily show us and tell us and our development team from a business analysis and perspective, we can make that stuff reality. And those are the projects that honestly like we love. Because it's I don't know, you get to see the tangible end result, so to speak, even though it's ones and zeros, but you see it work. And that's the cool part of our job. So
I remember
yeah.
you showing me one of the things that the guys worked on was on the mobile app, and when the salesmen are traveling around, they're able to set a pin there and show what other clients you have in
Yeah.
your territory, like real time.
Yeah.
And once you're leaving your your set meeting, your
Yep.
phone's pinging you saying, hey, like tell me how that went. Like, did you make a sale? Did you just have a meeting? Were any
Yeah.
other products discussed? And now that creates like a profile of that visit, and that's done real
100%.
time. That's
It
really
is
cool.
is absolutely, it is real time, and it's not just about tracking the employees. It's about as a whole, you're creating this sales. I love the word ecosystem, so I apologize for us listeners. You always hear me use it. But if I'm a sales rep and I go meet with a client, I create a quote, it immediately goes back to home, right? And then inside sales could do follow-up calls on that. And then the system does automatic follow-ups like, hey, here's one button click, place that order. And then if I'm the sales guy, I'm handing off that opportunity to inside sales in the system. And then, like you said, I could say, what other clients are in the area? And I could pull that up and I could continue making my visits and hopefully, drum up new business. But like that is enabling and empowering your sales guys, the outside sales team, to be super efficient and to really maximize their ability to sell more for the organization, which is, that's great, right? There's your sales, but also increase their commissions. So if I'm a sales guy, I'm starting to fall in love with CRM, like CRM, right? Any kind of system. So I've been doing tech for like 30 years and I'm an old man now, but I have seen so many CRM implementations fail. We suck at CTS and using our CRM, and that's I'll be the first to say it because we've used HubSpot, we've used Zoho, I've even used Microsoft CRM. The systems, in my opinion, they're advanced and cumbersome. I just want quick updates. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to follow up with? And let me close deals. And so for that client, they're like, we don't want something off the shelf. We want something super easy to use and effective. So
Yep. Simple is sometimes better.
it is. It absolutely is. So yeah. So from like a developer's perspective, I mean, we can make magic happen, and we do some really cool stuff. We got some clients that are honestly more advanced than us when it comes to Power BI, and we got 2 or 3, I think, larger manufacturing organizations that are using Power BI. They're using it internally because it, for those who don't know what Microsoft Power BI is, Google it, check out some cool videos, talk to us, whatever. Like it is a phenomenal solution for reporting. For those who are older like me, we used to use Crystal Reports. This is like Crystal Reports on steroids.
You're dating yourself now.
I'm an old man. I admit I'm an old man. But the part that we can help with is helping make those connections and cleaning up the data on the inbound and bringing it all together for you to run your own reports and see how things are really going. So yeah. Well, what else did I miss on the development side? We do a lot. For an IT managed services provider, we do a lot of application and web development. I mean, yeah, we make some silly informational WordPress sites, and we could do those in our sleep. But when it comes to doing the integration between supply chain from a logistics and shipping perspective and inbound product and creating that whole system, we do it really well, I think. So.
Anything specific to like e-commerce websites or online catalogs?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple clients that are doing some serious e-commerce stuff. We got a client that is doing, $250,000 a day and fun stuff. But I mean, once we have that data from their ERP, we can knock out home runs all day from an e-commerce perspective. There's a couple of solutions out there that we do partnerships with. BigCommerce is one that we have a couple clients with. There's Shopify out there, but at the end of the day, you'll have to play in their sandbox. And when you're talking about custom ordering, and when you want to do, I don't want to say custom order, but when you're doing builds and stuff like that, it gets a little dicey, because once you start to break the sandbox that those web development frameworks allow, when updates come, it can break your site. So that's kind of scary. We're actually in the process of doing a really cool e-commerce based website with WordPress. I know WordPress is like, oh, it's like for blogs and stuff like that. The cool part of WordPress is there's literally a plugin for everything, like everything. So if I want a calendar to do integration, if I want to use my inside sales team to communicate with the website, with web users via Microsoft Teams, like, again, plugins already built. I think it's like $50 a year. Like, if I could install a plugin that is true, tested, and updated, and shave off development costs for my clients, I'll do that every day of the week, right? But the cool part about WordPress is the backend is open source. It's all PHP, so you can massage it and build custom cool stuff with it. For example, we just built a tool selector for one of our manufacturing clients. They sell widgets, and they want to help guide the end users to which widget to buy, right? Just like on Amazon. Like, actually, we were just ordering some CTS shirts and swag today. Okay, we know we want no pockets. Okay, cool. That helps me filter that down to 100. Then I say I only want I think we didn't want. Yeah, I think we wanted less. We wanted more cotton, more spandex, less. Okay, cool. Now you're down to 3. So if we could work with the engineering group and the marketing team and sales team of an organization, we can. If you guys give us that logic and what that thought process and take them down, we can and help them filter out the best solutions for their applications. And you know what? That sounds silly, like, oh, they should know, or maybe we should guide them through. But if you make the sales process easy for the end user, they'll buy from you than a competitor.
The process sells itself. Yeah, absolutely.
It does. Yeah, 100%. So, yeah. So we're doing some fun stuff on the development side with manufacturing.
Really cool dev stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if we talked about this on the infrastructure side. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. We did. I apologize. But we have a lot of manufacturing organizations that do have multiple locations, and some are doing it out of the country. And you were part of that process, I think. I think we had a client open up a office in Mexico.
We had a few, and I'll go off on a little tangent, but remote capabilities have significantly improved over the years. Now you have more secure site-to-site connections, but I wanted to touch upon one of our organizations who's utilizing remote apps and remote desktop. You significantly decrease your cost in the shop area where you have the messy environments, but go out and buy $100, $150, $200 thin client. Preload all the software. Well, there's no software to preload besides the remote configuration to go back to your terminal server or to wherever the remote app is being hosted. And all you're worried about is unplugging a little box about this big and plugging the new one in, and your downtime is minutes rather than hours spent trying to reconfigure a whole profile on a computer.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like fully remote as an outside of the building from a different network, we've got site to sites, all over the place.
And what's a site to site? Some people may not know that.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. So let's say you are a manufacturing company and you have a headquarters somewhere near Chicago, and you might have a supplier out in like Mexico or Canada. It doesn't matter where, anywhere outside of your building, you can, from an internet perspective or a network perspective, you can connect the two. You can have site A over here and site B over here talk to each other like they're the same network, and you can share data, you can share network connectivity, you can share remote access, and that allows you or enables you to give access to remote offices access to the data that's running your business. If they make a sale, that information can easily be shared to your headquarters.
So if I've got a printer in site A and I'm in site B, I can literally print to that without making a VPN connection. It's as if the two offices are connected by a several 100-mile Ethernet cable, right?
Yep.
Network cable. Cool stuff. And like, it doesn't cost a lot for that, right? I know the answer, but like, it's
there always is a catch. No, I'm kidding. Depending on the equipment that you have, some hardware vendors include, the site-to-site connections within the hardware. Other manufacturers, they have licensing fees, but typically, no, site-to-site is included in the cost of the equipment, and it's free.
no brainer.
Nope.
It just works, right?
It just works, yes.
Yeah. In fact, we have 2 or 3 of our clients where we're hosting significant portions of their infrastructure at our data center. It's very rare. So if other clients are out there, we don't do this for everybody, but we actually have site to sites that is from our clients to our data center, where we're hosting dedicated virtual servers for them and some websites as well. And it works out pretty well. Like, it just works. And it's the ability to exchange data securely, especially sensitive IP, is critical today. You don't want someone on the internet just snatching it out of emails or FTP sites or anything like that. So good stuff.
I'd also like to add that that option isn't typically available for many providers. I think a lot of people are trying to get away from the hosting game. They're pushing everything to the cloud, so your Azure, AWS, and that stuff gets expensive. So for a fraction of the cost, you can own the equipment, as opposed to paying a few $1,000s a month to have Microsoft host and have it be their problem.
100%. Awesome. What other things do we miss that we should be sharing with the viewers, listeners? I think we covered quite a bit.
I think we could talk for hours about the trends in the industries, not just manufacturing.
Yep, I get it. Awesome. Well, Simon, thank you very much. Hopefully our listeners and viewers got a couple of knowledge nuggets out of this, and they should know how to get a hold of you, right?
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for having me. Look forward to doing a few more of these.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and like, subscribe, and share if you got anything out of this. We appreciate it. Thanks, and take care, everyone. Until next time.
Take care.